Welcome to the Channel for Grace. Gobind will be live shortly. Book a tarot or astrology reading on our website, channelforgrace.guru, and check out our latest programs and classes. Please give us a share and a like, and we hope you enjoy the broadcast. Welcome to the Channel for Grace. Gobind will be live shortly. Book a tarot or astrology reading on our website, channelforgrace.guru, and check out our latest programs and classes. Please give us a share and a like, and we hope you enjoy the broadcast. Welcome to the Channel for Grace. Gobind will be live shortly. Book a tarot or astrology reading on our website, channelforgrace.guru, and check out our latest programs and classes. Please give us a share and a like, and we hope you enjoy the broadcast. Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Gobind. This is your Channel for Grace. I'm excited to be here tonight. You guys did not miss it. I was just running a little bit late. I had to take Gaia out and feed her, and then I've been getting ready for my road trip. We leave tomorrow, so I'm really excited about that. But I'm also really excited to be here with you guys to do some readings. We already have 2 people on the list. If you want to get on the list, you still can. Please get on the list for tonight. The readings are $25, and you can sign up by sending $25 to my PayPal account, and the link is in the description of this video. And before we begin the actual readings, these are mini readings, by the way, and you can choose from a natal chart reading, a transit reading, a compatibility reading for you and your partner or the person you're interested in, and then or tarot and oracle. So it's gonna be. We always have a lot of fun on these mini reading nights. But before we actually get into the readings, I will remind you guys that I have officially opened up the registration for Module 2 for Aquarian Astrology Level 1, and it is going to be happening on June 16th of 2020. So we have a little bit of time, but you can actually sign up now. The class will be held live, and then there'll be a replay afterwards, just like Module 1. If you missed Module 1, you can sign up for that now and already watch it. Everything's uploaded onto the student portal. You actually get access to all the information through a login and a password that you create. So that's how you get into the astrology class. If you want to learn how to read your birth chart, if you want to learn about astrology, if you're really passionate about it, if it's something that you really want to start to dive into, I highly recommend you join me on this really awesome journey. And on June 25th, we're going to be doing the summer webinar, which is all about the astrology of the next 3 months, starting right at the summer solstice, which is June 20th. We'll talk about what that day means and what's going to be coming for the next 3 months of 2020. And so far 2020 has been crazy, and so I feel like we're all we're ready to know more information about what's the next phase. And so that's what that webinar is all about. And the astrology modules are $33 each, and the webinar is $15. So, and that will be also held live, and then we'll have a replay for it. And if you guys want to get on my newsletter or my email list, I would really love that. I send out a weekly moon magic report where I give you all the information of what the moon is doing, if there's an eclipse, if there's a new moon or full moon or an eclipse, and also what the aspects are that the moon is making to other planets and what that means for us as a collective. And I also send out some like fun emails about the retrogrades that come up and like how those are affecting you in your chart based on your sun sign and rising sign. And then, of course, when you actually initially sign up for the newsletter, you get the free Moon Magic report. So there it is. That's all the most important things that are going on right now. I got to tell everybody before we get started, especially if you're new to the channel or if you're finding me here for the first time, please join the community. We also have a Facebook group. All right. I'm done with announcements. Let's see who's in here. Hey, Wendy. Thank you for being here. And Shannon as well. And we've got Monica and Jolie and Kim and Dawn and Christine Satnam and Chanel. All right. So like I said, we've got 2 people on the list so far. The first one is Stephanie M. Is Stephanie M here? Hi, Abby. How's it going? Last night was fun. Did you guys get to watch last night? Shannon, did you guys? Oh, there she is. Okay. So feel free to put up your question. Let me know what you want to know. If you want to do tarot or astrology, and also if you want an astrology reading, I need your birth date. I need the time of birth. I need the location, and that's it. And then if you want natal transit, or if you want compatibility, I'll need the information for both people like that. So I forgot to I just played that new song, and I was watching the replay because I was like, God, I just played it and I didn't even say anything about it. I thought that was pretty funny. But if you missed it, we had so much fun last night for the new moon ceremony in Gemini. We're still feeling that energy. I'm sure you can tell I'm really excited and chatty and blah, 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 blah. That's Gemini for you. And I have all this 12th house Gemini energy. So it is I really felt last night that I was just in the zone. That's the only way I can describe it. It's I wasn't really paying attention to the chat. And usually I'm really focused. It was I was just really feeling the music, And I'm it's all good. Just keep playing, So I had a lot of fun, but I had to actually watch the replay to see you guys' comments. Hello, Heavenly Angel Doll, Goddess Laura. Not free readings, but for $25 only through PayPal. The link is in the description of the video. Is it really, Dawn? Did you really like it? Oh, and also I put a comment on the video of yesterday, and I time-stamped that song. So if you go back to the video and you go and look in the comments, just click that timestamp and it's the new song if you want to hear it again. Okay, so we've got 2 people on the list. We've got Stephanie and then we've got Anjoli. So we're going to go with Stephanie first. Did she put up her question? I didn't see it. I saw that she said hi. And then I didn't hear. Okay, she said hi, but that's it. So we're waiting for Stephanie's question. And Jolie, I will get to you as soon as we're done with Stephanie's reading. Whoa, it's a dog going crazy out there. Okay, natal reading for Stephanie. So what I do is I pull up your chart. And then I pull it up on the screen. So, new natal chart. Have I done a? Will you remind me if I've done a reading for you, Stephanie, before? Or if you've gotten a natal chart reading before, ever? June 15th, 1985. At 2:22 a.m. Wow, cool number. Location, Yuma. Okay, June 15th, 1985, 2:22 a.m. All right. So there we go. So I just took a picture of it, and I'm gonna pull it up onto the screen here in a moment. And this is how it works. You just have to give me a second to pull up the chart, and then we'll get started. All right, hang on. Slow down. And we got Valerie that just got on the list as well. Okay, so let me look at the chat. Okay, I haven't. Okay, awesome. Is it your friend, Wendy? Once when I was like 20, I don't really remember it. Okay. Well, we're looking at your chart right now. I love hummingbirds too. Somebody called me a hummingbird today. They said all my 12th house Gemini energy in my 12th house was like a hummingbird. I was like, ooh, I like it. I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay. So let's look at what we got. You are a, so basic stuff, Sun in Gemini, Moon in Taurus. You're an Aries rising. And you've got Venus in Taurus too. The one element that you have, actually, it looks like you have a pretty good even amount of like distribution when it comes to elements, because you've got like 4 planets in air, 4 planets in earth, 5 in water, 2 in fire, and then more earth than what I just said. But anyways, I'm just looking at it. It looks like a pretty like balanced kind of energy when it comes to just the elemental aspect of your chart. Oh, cool. You're new from last night? Awesome. So let me look at this a little bit more. The thing that I find pretty significant is that you've got your North Node in Taurus conjunct the Moon in Taurus. And the Moon, when it's in Taurus, is actually in exaltation. It loves to be in Taurus. So you might be someone that really loves to feel good, that loves to feel cozy, that loves to feel comfortable at home. And it's part of your destiny to find that security and that comfort in terms of your sense of self. With Venus also in your first house, all of this stuff is in your first house, which is the house of the self, which means it also has your North Node has this flavor of Aries as well. And so part of your lesson and your journey in this life is to become more independent. But become independent in the way that it makes you feel good, that it makes you feel like you have security in your life, and that you can feel and enjoy the beauty of being alive and being yourself. You're moving away from being attached to relationships. With the South Node in Scorpio, that is drama in your past. That tells me that in your past, in this lifetime, or in a past life, you may be coming from a place of a lot of drama and trauma and things that were difficult to move through. But this also being in your 7th house, which is ruled by Libra, also tells me that in your past, these karmic cycles that have caused a lot of trauma and drama are actually cycles connected to other people. And when you see Saturn right here next to your south node, that tells me that like there was a very significant, maybe a person that you were in connection with in a past life, and maybe they've shown up in this lifetime for you, and they're here to like teach you how to let go and release that attachment to needing to define yourself through your relationships and move towards finding yourself to discovering who you are and discovering what you value in your life. Having Pluto in the 7th house is actually pretty significant too, because Pluto is the planet of death, of change, of rebirth, transformation. In the 7th house, it can mean endings in the realm of relationships. And so maybe relationships start, but then there's like power struggles within them, and it makes it difficult because the focus should not be here for you. The focus should be over here. The focus should be on you. Oh, wow. That's crazy, Wendy. The focus should definitely be on you and on finding yourself through this experience. That's interesting that you say that, Wendy, because that is Pluto right there in the house of relationships, and this being, right, that came into your life to teach you something really, really important, which is let go and move towards your north node. Yeah, that's crazy. I remember now when I was watching the replay, I didn't see your comment when I was live, but I remember now what you said. I'm not going to blast it, but you know, wow. Let's see what else is stands out over here. You have Jupiter in your 11th house of friends and sharing your gifts with the world. So Jupiter expands everything that it touches. He's kind of like the Santa Claus that comes and like gives us all these gifts and shares a lot of like optimism and success and growth and things like that. Expanding your 11th house in Aquarius, which is actually naturally ruled by the 11th house is naturally ruled by Aquarius, and you have Jupiter there. So you may have like a lot of like your network is probably, yes, Stephanie. Yes, I can see that. You may have a really big network of people around you. So I would say, because of what you're going through, call on that, count on that, use that as something that can help you move through this big transition. You have something called a mystic rectangle. A mystic rectangle is kind of like a grand trine. It is a harmonious aspect. It makes the points that are connected to it work really well together. So this is with Neptune, with Pluto, with the sun, and then with your rising sign. So there's something about how you see the world, which is the rising sign, your spiritual integration, your spirituality, your ability to connect with the divine, your ability to go deep into the underworld, because Pluto in Scorpio, in its natural sign of Scorpio, is an intense aspect to have in your chart. And with your sun, which is your soul, which is who you are becoming. All of these things are working together to help guide you towards that north node. So interestingly enough, you have also a couple of T-squares. T-squares are like challenging aspects in your chart. These are things that create a lot of tension. Jupiter, this area here, this expansion in your 11th house of friends and sharing your gifts with the world, is T-squaring the nodes, the nodal axis. So Jupiter is creating tension in between what you're trying to, he was a Scorpio? That's crazy, dude. That's crazy. Into what you are trying to move towards and what he's doing here is like he's putting a really big importance on your nodal aspect, which is your destiny and your past, right? Past lives and destiny. You know, this is when you have a house intercepted, let me just talk about this for a second. When you have a house intercepted, you have Scorpio intercepted in the 7th house and then Taurus on the other side in your 1st house. This is something that's really important. This is a big, big lesson for you. This is going to make you or break you. And you have to choose what you want, how you want to move forward in your life. That's the power of that. And the other T-square is in regards to Mercury and Mars, which is how you think, your drive, and how you take action, your spirituality. Those two things are opposing. So sometimes you may feel like you want to move towards spirituality, you want to understand life in a more mystical way, but you have to also understand it in a more real way. Like it has to be here in the moment for you. You have to be able to talk about it and share it with other people and express your feelings. It's really important for you to express how you feel. That's how you take action. So the more you allow yourself to feel, the more you're going to release the pain and the sadness that comes with that. And what's T-squaring it is this Juno, which is the asteroid of marriage. But it's creating some tension between your ability to find your spirituality and communicate it. It's almost like there's like this tug of war between the two. I think that's like the most significant stuff that I see in your natal chart. Pretty wild chart. Let me just see if I missed something in the chat. So we are doing readings. You can get on the list by sending $25 to the PayPal, which is in the description. So I hope that gave you some insight, or at least helped you see a little bit more, with a little bit more clarity, what, that this is something that was actually like written in the stars, not like a fated thing though. It's not fate, it's destiny. Yeah, you're welcome. You have to think of it as destiny. It's the process. It's like the wounding that leads you to your life. It's the death that leads you to life. Kind of crazy, and I know it's probably like hard to hear that right now, but that's what I see. Really, really powerful. So I'm going to pull up the next chart. Well, let me check PayPal real quick. Make sure we got everybody that got on the list on the list. So the people that are added to the list are Valerie, Dawn, and Paris, just so you guys know. Okay, so coming back here, I'm going to pull up Anjoli's chart because he's next. Good evening. Okay, let's pull it up. Do you know what question you have, Anjoli? Like what you want to know? If you want a natal chart reading or a transit. Sorry, you're a female. Niskayuna, New York? Niskayuna. I've never heard of that. All right, so I guess we'll do a transit if you want to know what's going on right now. Let us take a picture. And let me pull it up. All right, so there's Anjoli's chart. Yes, you made it. Paris, that was for Stephanie. I was saying that for Stephanie. Okay. So let's see. This is your chart. And these are the transits that are happening to your chart. Okay. So here's the first thing that jumps out at me. The North Node, Mercury, Venus, and the Moon right now are transiting your 7th house. Now, you've heard me talk about Venus retrograde and what that means, right? Well, this retrograde is changing the way that we relate to people. It's having us go, we're going down into the underworld with Venus, and we're reclaiming parts of ourselves that have been lost. That's the process right now. This is happening now. It's been happening since last week and then all the way until June 25th. For you, this is transiting your 7th house of relationships. So there's a big deal when it comes to your relationships. You're reworking the world of relationships for you. In this case, it has to do with relationships that can be the romantic kind, or they can be like business partnerships, things like that. Expect a lot of change and shift in that part of your life. You also have Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto transiting your 2nd house of material possessions, finances, money. So, Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. That was when, you remember the last financial crisis happened back in 2008? Well, that was when Pluto entered Capricorn. But this year, in 2020, Pluto conjuncted Saturn. And they conjuncted in your second, I believe in your 2nd house. Could have been like right at the edge of the 1st and the 2nd house. And so this kind of affected you both in your sense of self and also in the way that you make money. All of the old ways of thinking, of being, of making money have fallen away because they're not going to work anymore. And so you're having to this year recreate yourself when it comes to bringing money in. But it's not something to fear because it's something that needs to happen for all of us in the world. We just need to it's like this. I just saw in my mind an image of a chessboard, and there's like an earthquake and all the pieces fall. Some of them fall, some of them don't. And then you have to put it back together again. Or a puzzle that you were building, but then it comes apart, but you have to put it back together. But you have to put it back together in a different way. It's like you don't know the exact way that it's going to be rebuilt, but you know that it needs to be rebuilt. So this is an exciting thing. And the more that you move forward towards recreating that aspect of your life, the more successful you're going to be. The more you're willing to go with the flow and go with the changes, the more success you'll have in your life in terms of like bringing money in. Let's see what else. What else? You do have the South Node transiting your first house of the Self. This means that whenever with the South Node transit to house, it creates this, it like empties your cup. You have to find it. I think that's happening to a lot of people, Anjoli. A lot of people have been having like no drive, like, you know, no way to like no motivation. But somehow you have to find it. But it could be this, you know, South Node transiting your first house. The South Node empties your cup. So who you are has to change. You have to refill your cup with something that actually works for you in terms of who you believe you are. Like, what's your identity? What do you show to the world? How do you see yourself? Those kind of things are what are changing right now. And of course, if you're going through a transition like that, of course it's not going to feel good. Of course it's going to feel like you're going to feel like you're losing yourself before you find yourself again. And that brings up a lot of that energy of like, I have no motivation. I don't know who I am. Like, I don't know where I'm going, that kind of thing. So you have to recreate yourself somehow. That's the message anyways. And each one of us has the capability of intuitively knowing what that is and figuring that out. It's whether you choose to open yourself to it, to leave the door open, like leave the front door open for the inspiration to come in. Instead of focusing on what's not working, at least while you're feeling all those emotions and all the energy, can you at least just leave the front door open? That's what I'm gonna tell you. And I'll leave it right there. Leave the door open for something to come in. Even though you maybe don't feel like anything's coming or you're, you know, not in the place for it, you still just leave a little door open. Because one day it will come. And it will feel like you're alive again. So I'm gonna check the PayPal again, but next we have Valerie. So if you want to put up your question, Valerie, that would be awesome. And if you are getting a reading, once I call your name, that's when you can put up your question, whatever it is you want me to look at. So we do have Chanel that has added to the list. And remember that when you sign up for a reading tonight, you also get added to the raffle. Today is actually, is today the last time in May? Hang on. No, there's one more Friday in May. So we'll see if I'm able to do mini readings next week, which I'm really hoping I do. I think I do. I think I'm gonna be at my sister's house next Friday, so I might have my niece like jumping all over me and stuff. But I think I'll do it because it's really fun to do these readings. So we'll plan on it, but we'll wait on it. If you really want to know like what's happening on the channel, then make sure that you join our Facebook group because I always post on there, or at least subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified of when I go live. But my schedule's pretty regular. I guess eventually you kind of get the hang of it of like, oh, Jai's going to go live. It's Friday. All right, let's see. Just general guidance from Spirit, what I need to focus on tarot. Ooh, I love it. Okay, let me put this aside for a second. Worth it. Take this pain and mourn. Alrighty then. What does Valerie need to know right now? What's her message? What does Valerie need to know right now? General guidance for Valerie. Okie dokie. Let's get 2 more cards. Hi there. It's so awkward to have this mic in my face like this. I'm not used to it, but I know it's way, the other mic's just not working right now. So we gotta do what we gotta do. All right, I like that. One more. Or 2 more. Okay. So let me take a look at this for a second. Okay, so your reading starts with the Page of Cups. So the first thing that's happening here for you is that there is a message coming to you. This might be the message, right? So we'll see what it is depending on the cards that come right after. But there's a powerful message that's coming to you, and it has to do with a message of love, like a compassionate message. I also see her about to walk into some kind of portal, a door, stepping through to maybe another level of understanding in terms of your emotions, because we're dealing with the cups, the water element. So an emotional shift, an emotional, a different perspective on life is sort of approaching right now to you. The rest of the cards are this. You've got the 10 of Pentacles, which is like it's building your future. This is about building your future. It is about creating it together, though. It's building your future together with people. Now, the King of Swords is the next card. And the King of Swords is he has mastered the element of air, the mind. He understands. So that higher perspective that you're getting from the Page of Cups is also coming in, you know, by way of understanding through the mind. So you're understanding things. I feel like you're moving through, you're seeing things happening in front of you, and it's awakening in you a new ability to perceive what's happening. And you're actually feeling that somehow it's all coming together. Like it's creating a bigger, there's a bigger picture to this that is actually being built right now. And I'm a part of that. And I'm working together with other people in order to create this. I don't know how that's going to look exactly in your own personal life, but that's the message that's coming through. This is giving you a lot of strength. You get the Strength card next. And the strength comes from the perspective. The strength comes from being able to look at things and say, you know, I feel like this is like things aren't just falling apart, but they're actually falling into place, if you know what I mean. You do also have the 7 of Pentacles, which is a card that means that it's almost like you're reaping the rewards of your hard work. You're reaping the rewards of your hard work. And what that's doing for you personally is you're feeling a lot of change. Yeah. Is it's activating like a desire within you. And the desire is the King of Wands, which has mastered the fire element. And the fire element is the one that it can get things moving. It can create things in your life. So what I see here is like the message is coming to you, but it's coming to you through like heart space, through the emotions, through an understanding that things are kind of building and you're seeing the bigger picture with your mind. You're finding your strength through it all. And you are actually seeing that somehow this is actually making a difference in your life, and you're seeing the benefits that are coming from this experience that's happening for you. And through it all, hopefully it will create this aspect that is activating your desire to do whatever it is that you want to do in your life. Let me pull a couple of the Moonology cards, see what they say. Thank you, Wendy, for moderating. I really appreciate it. Why don't you guys follow Wendy? You never know. She might be busting out videos soon. Just kidding. I'm gonna start telling everybody to start following you. That way you have to. I'm just kidding. Kidding, not kidding. Okay. You get the fixed moon. Hold your vision. Hold your vision. And, of course, the full moon in Sagittarius. Look at the bigger picture. So I'm gonna give you a clue here. June 5th is going to be a powerful day for you, Valerie. June 5th is going to be a powerful day. Okay, got it. Because not only is June 5th the full moon, it is a full moon in Sagittarius lunar eclipse. Look at the bigger picture. Just be aware that that day is a powerful day for you. Okay? All right. Thank you, Valerie. So let's see. We've got, let me check PayPal real quick, and then we've got Dawn next. So if you want to put up your question, Dawn, please do. I've just added Lisa and Stephanie again for a tarot reading, I believe. So the list goes Dawn, Paris, Chanel, Lisa, and Stephanie. That's who we have so far. Thank you, everyone, for being here. You're welcome. You can totally ask a question. You just have to sign up. You have to get on the list to do so. As we wait for Dawn's question. So what you can choose from, if you sign up for a reading, you can choose from a natal chart reading, a transit reading. So if you've never had a natal chart reading before, I would recommend that, because then you get to look at, aspects of your personality and your birth chart that are significant, like life purpose and healing and things like that. If you want to kind of know what's happening in your life right now, then you would get a transit reading, because that tells you how the transits are affecting your personal chart. If you want to look at compatibility between you and another person, we can also look at that as well. I'm great. I'm great. Thank you. Okay, I want some guidance on my purpose, more clarity using my Venus placement, because I relate to Scorpio and love, and also my North Node because it's relevant now. So natal chart reading. Okay. Let me pull up your chart. So if you want to get on the list, you do have to send $25 to my PayPal. $12.10. 64. 11:56. Okay, so you want more guidance on my purpose, more clarity using my Venus placement because I relate to Scorpio and love, and also my North Node because it's relevant now. I'm actually gonna let me just make sure I have it right. 12, 10, 64, 11, 57. Okay. I'm actually going to do a transit reading for you. Ooh, I never asked for it. Okay. Give it a second. It has to connect. Yeah, thank you, Wendy. All right, so here's your chart and here's the transit reading. I choose transit because I've already read your chart, so I'll get more information this way anyways for you. So if you look at your natal chart, oh, interesting. Can you guys still see that little tiny mark? Probably. Okay. You do have your North Node in Gemini, and so you're having a nodal return right now. That is very significant because it's reactivating your purpose. And if you look at it, it's all happening. It's transiting your fourth house of the home. So this is a shift in terms of home for you. So it's a reawakening of your purpose. So what's an example that I can give you? Communication at home should be your focus right now. Being able to express yourself should become your focus. Being able to also, in a sense, like in a way, there's the teacher aspect of Gemini that teaches others. And so you have to sort of become the example. It's like, what do you want others to be like, you know, for you? What are you needing for when it comes to home? Because part of your destiny is to build a beautiful home where there's a lot of communication, where people understand each other, not just by communicating, but also by their heart space. Because the fourth house is ruled by Cancer. Now, at the same time, Venus is also transiting. She's retrograde in your fourth house. And so relationships at home are like going through a big transition. You are going to find yourself again, and you're going to define yourself again. And once you redefine who you are now, as opposed to who you were in the past, that's where you're going to find what it is that you need to do in your life to move towards this North Node. Now, the North Node is going to conjunct your exact North Node when it gets to 23 degrees of Gemini. So it's like it's here because the North Node is already in Gemini, but it'll hit you even harder when it gets to 23 degrees. And you'll have to, it takes a while because the nodes, they take about 18 months to switch signs. So this is the next 18 months. Like, think about it like this. For the next 18 months, your focus is at home. Do you like what's going on at home? Do you feel like it's what you want in your life? And if it's not, then move more towards there. This is moving away. If you look over here at your 10th house, the south node is also transiting your 10th house. So it's moving away from your 10th house of career and more towards home, if that makes any sense. Also, though, the south node in your 10th house is emptying that cup, and you have to refill it. You have to refill your cup. Oh my God, I think my dog's whining. I like both the transit of both my sun and rising both houses. What do you mean by that? My sun and rising both houses. I'm not sure what you mean by that. But that's the main thing that I see. When it comes to your question was about, your north node, and it was about Venus. And that's what's happening. You're going through a nodal return, and Venus is retrograding in your 4th house of the home. Those are the things that I would focus on right now. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of a clarity on at least what to think about. Like, maybe you already see all these changes going on and happening, and so the universe is like, okay, like, this is what we're focusing on, so how can you make this your best year yet? Because really, when you have a nodal return, I mean, I feel like that there's an opportunity to, like, go towards what you want, go towards what you were meant to do in your life. Yes, you are Pisces rising. So, okay. So, thank you, Dawn. So we've got Paris, then Chanel, then Lisa, and then Stephanie. So Paris, feel free to put up your question, and I'm gonna go check PayPal real quick. And I do want to thank you guys for your patience. Give me a second. I'm gonna check if my dog's whining. Hang on, I'll be right back. It must have been something going on outside because she's laying on her bed sleeping. Okay, so waiting for Paris's question. Thank you guys for being here. If you wanna, the list is still open. If you wanna get on the list, you have to send $25 to my PayPal, and you can choose from a natal chart reading or a transit reading or tarot and oracle or compatibility reading if you'd like that. And make sure you guys have your questions ready too. So Chanel, Lisa, and Stephanie, if you could have your question ready in like a copy and paste mode, so when I call your name, it's really easy for you to just copy paste it, and then send it. That will help the process move along quicker in between readings. Is Shannon leaving? All right, have a good one, Shannon. Okay, so Paris wants, is someone needing to make a cash? You can make Cash App payment if you would like. It's money sign. Let me just go check it just in case. Make sure I got the right thing. It's money sign Eagle Star Yoga. If you do need to send to Cash App, that's okay. You can do that. Money sign Eagle Star Yoga. That's the name of my company. Okay, natal chart reading. Some about me and some about love if you can. Okay. I'll do You want me to just read your natal chart, or do you want me to tell you like what's happening in love right now for you? If I do the transit reading, it'll show us what Venus is doing, which is basically love for all of us right now. Let's put your information in 12/21/84. Oh my God, I'm so excited about tomorrow, you guys. 3:45 p.m. Oh my God. Oh my God. In Tehran. Okay. Yeah, okay, so yeah, I'm going to do transit. So when it comes to love, I'm going to ask you a question. What do you want to know? Are you in a relationship? Are you not in a relationship? Are you looking for a relationship? Those are the kind of things I need to know. Oh, that's right. Let me share it real quick. And Shannon just signed up for a reading. That's us sweet. All right. So here's your chart, and here is the transits. So I want to know what you want. Okay, well, thank you. That helps because then so then I can tell you maybe what's happening in your relationship house, right? Okay, so you're married, but then the twin flame person is not, this is not the same person. Your soulmate and your twin flame are not the same person, correct? Okay. Okay. Do you want there to be something going on? It just opened my eyes. Wendy. Okay, the first thing I'm going to tell you is this. You've got Venus retrograde transiting your first house. You've got the North Node transiting your first house. The new moon that happened yesterday happened in your 12th house. So there's a lot of truth coming through in terms of there's a lot of truth coming through in terms of in the mode of like there's a lot of intuitive hits that you're getting. So you need to listen to your intuition right now, because that the 12th house, having that new moon yesterday in your 12th house is really significant. Your intuition will tell you what you need to do, right? Depending on what it is that you want. However, what your focus is right now, you guys stop it. I'm just kidding. What your focus is right now, Jai's asking too many questions. What your focus is right now, or needs to be right now, is on you. And the reason I say that is because you've got North Node, which is destiny and focus, and Venus, which is love, but also retrograde, like I've been talking about, this journey that we're taking through the underworld to reclaim parts of ourself, happening in your first house of self-identity. So it's almost like you're going through an identity crisis right now. That's what it feels like to you. You're not sure what's happening, but there is a part of you that you have to discover. There's a part of you that you have to like let loose, set free? What are you not, like, what are you afraid of showing the world? And in which ways are you afraid of seeing the world differently? There's a big shift happening here. You've got the South Node. Wow. Transiting your 7th house of relationships, which means, like I've been saying, South Node transits, they empty the cup. Here's another significant thing. The South Node is exactly conjunct your sun right now. And you were born during a new moon in Sagittarius. I don't know if you knew that. You were born on a day where right before, either that day or the next day was a new moon. So you may have been born, you were born on like the day of the new moon or slightly before it, which means that would have been the dark day of the moon, which means that you're naturally like a very internal person. You go within very easily. The South Node here is like, it's breaking down your identity. It's breaking down your sense of self in terms of how you define yourself in your relationships, because the sun and the moon are in the 7th house. It means that a lot of your focus in life is on your relationships. But the South Node is like, okay, let's pause and let's just get rid of all this. Like, just stop everything, remove it from the table. Let's start over. We're going to begin to put things back together again the way that it should be done. Meaning the way that is going to be serving you the most. So if you feel like there's changes happening in your relationship, I would say your current relationship, that is what's happening. Like, that's a natural process. And if you feel like you're receiving, like the energy is guiding you this way, right? It's saying, hey, it's time to shift the focus from us to me. What's important to me right now? What do I need to know about myself right now? What am I not seeing that needs to be dealt with in myself? Because that's what's going to be the biggest shift, and that's what's going to serve you the most right now, is to focus on yourself. And I know it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with because, well, you know what you're telling me, the situation you're in, it's kind of crazy, right? There's a lot of like 2 swords card moment where, like, are you happy? Like, are you happy with your life? South Node transiting your 7th house is about your relationships shifting majorly for the next 18 months. So what I'm going to say is expect a lot of change. Expect you being tested in terms of who you're becoming. Because you're becoming more of yourself than you ever have before. And it's very significant. So I'm going to leave it at that. And I think that's actually pretty good. Powerful stuff happening for you. Yeah. Exactly. So I know there's a couple more names. Shannon and Megan. Megan, you forgot your jacket. Sorry, I was not making fun of you. I just remembered that skit. Okay, you're talking to a Gemini. Don't forget you're talking to a Gemini. So we've got Chanel, Lisa, Stephanie, Shannon, and Megan. So Chanel is next. So please put up your question and what it is you want to know. I need to stretch my body. I'm just gonna stand up. I appreciate you guys being here very, very much. All right, here we go. Another chart reading. Would like a natal reading on now that I have my accurate time of birth. Yes. This is how we do it. This is how we do it. Okay. $7:14. So how did you find your actual time of birth? 1:50. Hey Rebecca, 1:53 a.m. It's Friday night. It's Friday night. That's right. Oh shit. Wendy, add me. You guys have to request. You have to go find the group. Oh, if you already requested, Wendy can add you because she's an admin now. Yeah, but you have to just find it, request it, and then you get added. Everybody gets like there's no it's just you have to get like accepted in, but it's public. It's like a free group. Yes, Rebecca. Yes. Okay, Chanel. All right. But you were actually born at 1:53 or well, honestly, that's not going to make much of a difference. But we'll take a look at it. Dang, that's a busy chart. Okay, let me just make sure I get it right. 7/14, 1984, 1:53 a.m. She was pretty close, man. Your mom was, she almost had it. Lansing, Michigan. It doesn't really, unless you got a planet that switches exactly on that minute. So we'll see. Now I'm going to let me pull it up. I thought you were going to say that there was like hours difference. If there was hours difference, then it would be like a really big shift because the houses are different. Oh, you never had a natal chart? Just we did a transit on you? Okay, cool. Okay, so let's look at it. Whoa, hang on. All right. This chart's going crazy. You have a really busy chart. This is like really busy. There's a lot going on. So, let's look at it. Crazier things have happened on here. All right, so basic stuff. Sun in Cancer, Moon in Aquarius, Venus in Cancer, Taurus rising. That's basically. Dang. Sorry, I'm just looking like the... You do have a grand trine in fire. Juno, it's between Juno, South Node, and Uranus, and then Black Moon Lilith. This has to do with relationships for you. I believe that Uranus goes into my 8th house before it was in my 7th. It's still in your 7th house at 1:53 a.m. You have to know which house system I use as well. I use tropical house system. So if you use a different house system, they're going to have different results. Uranus is not going to move very much in 3 minutes because Uranus is a outer planet, and those outer planets move really, really slow. So unless that exact moment was the moment it switched, it probably won't change very much. But he's still in your 7th house, which means that when it comes to like a lot of people with Uranus in their 7th house, interestingly enough, this grand trine in fire is involving Juno, which is the asteroid of marriage, Black Moon Lilith, which is the asteroid of like, it's more about like sensuality and expressing yourself and your like inner fire, your sexual energy freely. She's much more of like, I'm me and I don't care what anybody else thinks. I'm just going to do my own thing. Okay, maybe it could have been I don't know. Let me do something real quick though. Nope, everything is still pretty much the same. Okay, so where was I? So this grand trine at fire has to do with relationships. It's interesting because it involves Uranus, and Uranus is in your 7th house of relationships, which means that when you have Uranus in your 7th house, you tend to not get married. I don't know what your relationship status is, but you tend to need a lot of freedom in relationships that sometimes most people can't give the other person. And that's why relationships tend to fail. And sometimes they end up in divorce because what you need is not what someone's able to give, right? Because it's like Uranus is like the independence that Uranus needs is opposing the need of the relationship to be wholesome and together and to be like one unit. And so unless the other person is able to give you that freedom, most likely the relationships will clash a little bit because those two things almost can't live in the same space. That's the first thing I see. The other thing, you have North Node Gemini and South Node Sagittarius. So that is, you're also going through a nodal return. So for the next 18 months, the South Node is going to be transiting from your 2nd house into your 1st house. Right now it's in your 2nd house. And so that's affecting you in terms of your sense of self, your sense of identity. You're having like a reawakening in that space. Oh, okay. Okay, well, perfect. Then if that's the case, then it works. You know what I mean? But having North Node in Gemini is like you have been in a past life, you've seen the bigger picture of things. You might have even been like a wise sage, someone who, studied a lot, someone who had maybe higher education, who was some kind of spiritual or religious leader, things like that. And people looked up to you in that way. And now the focus in this lifetime is to bring that knowledge right here into reality, but to bring it and to teach about it, but also to learn to be independent, because North Node in the 1st house is also has a flavor of Aries to it, which is about finding that independence. So in your life right now, your focus is to let go of any kind of attachment that you have about any relationship, like the need for a relationship to be your identity and to become your own thing. And Uranus conjunct your South Node is actually helping you do that. It's helping you to activate that independence and bring in that flavor of like, I'm going to be a little bit revolutionary, like I'm going to be unique, I'm going to be different, I'm going to be unconventional in my life. It's helping you actually access that gift, but you have to channel it towards yourself. Like your focus is on yourself in this lifetime, finding yourself. What else is significant here? You do have you have that grand trine, like I said. You also have a mystic rectangle. I think someone else had one earlier. And that's between the moon, the nodes, and let's see, and Juno. So Juno is actually also part of that grand trine. This is like an interconnected energy. Pretty cool. Your emotions, your the nodal axis that I just described, and then the asteroid of marriage, right? What sign is your husband? Oh, you said Gemini. He's a Gemini. Does he have any fire in his chart? I can't remember from the reading. Oh, moon in Capricorn. Well, if he has any fire, that like it's almost like that's going to be a good match. If there's fire in his chart that matches like your fire in your 7th house. But this mystic rectangle is putting into communication your past, your destiny, your emotional ability, your intuition, your instincts, and the other person in your life that is meant to be here for you as like a soulmate kind of a thing. Because Juno is more of like a soulmate. It's the asteroid of marriage. I know I said that already, but what I mean by that is like she represents commitment instead of freedom, right? Which is interesting for you because you have this like a lot of aspects about independence in your chart, about learning your independence. So maybe this relationship, right, that you're in is what is helping you to activate your North Node, the path of destiny for you, the path that makes you feel alive. Maybe the relationship is holding you, like supporting you in discovering who you truly are, because that's really what you're doing right now. Oh, that's so sweet. I don't even remember what your question was. You just wanted to do a natal chart reading. Oh, it was the time. So that's what I see. Those are the significant things. Having Jupiter in the 9th house is also important. He rules the 9th house of Sagittarius. This means that you would do really well with like finding, oh, you're also going through your Jupiter return. You would do really well by finding, expanding your knowledge in something that like calls to you. I love that. Expanding your knowledge in something that really feeds your soul. What do you want to learn about? What do you want to know? Things like that. And right now, because you're going through your Jupiter return, this is the year where you're going to find your faith again. It's like you're coming back to that place, and it'll bring a lot of abundance in your life. The more you connect to your spirituality and the more you discover who you are, the abundance will come in, because Jupiter in Capricorn is like, people born with Jupiter in Capricorn tend to be late bloomers in life in terms of like building your own empire, creating what you want, mastering your career, your path in that sense. But once they get there, it's like it just explodes with abundance. And it's really amazing. And this is in your 9th house of spiritual integration. So those are the things that I see that are significant for you. I am very excited for you. Yeah, that grand trine and that mystic rectangle are pretty amazing. You do have a lot of opposition. So there is, see, the trines and the sextiles, they create harmony, but then the squares and the oppositions create the tension that's needed for you to access that harmony. There's a lot going on in here. Nice. Awesome. Yeah. Well, you can see that. You can actually literally see that in your chart. Thank you. So we've got Lisa, Stephanie, Shannon, Megan, and I think Rebecca. Let me check PayPal one more time. Yes, it was Rebecca. Okay. Thank you guys for being here, by the way. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys getting readings from me. This really helps to support me in a lot of ways. So Lisa is next. Lisa is next. Make sure that you guys have your question ready. Right? And thank you, Wendy, for announcing for me. I just opened up the registration for the Module 2, Aquarian Astrology Level 1 class. Module 2 is now ready, and we had a blast for Module 1, and I can't wait to do Module 2. Like, we're going to talk about the sun and everything that has to do with the sun in the 12 signs, the sun in the 12 houses, the equinoxes and the solstices. I mean, this is cool stuff, you guys. I think what I am going to do is probably cap the list after Rebecca, because I got a lot of stuff to do. So we'll close the list now that we've got oh, you are? Okay. Oh, you mean for the class? Yeah. I can't wait for it. I just have a blast doing it. Stephanie, are you here? All right, there's make sure you have your question ready, Stephanie, okay? Because you're after Lisa. What is with my love life? I seem to attract men who turn out to be narcissistic. It always seems like someone who needs to heal. I absorb their feelings. What was your childhood like? Dawn's, if you want a reading, I'll let you get on the list, and then you'll be the last one on the list. It's $25 sent to my PayPal. Okay, let me pull up your chart, Lisa. Yeah, it's okay. If Dawn's journey, if you want to get on the list, I'll let you get on the list since you got here just right after I said that it was closed. If you want to get on the list, and then you'll be the last one. So November 15th, 1967, 8:50 a.m. Chicago. Well, you'll have to it should be working just fine. My system says it's working fine. Anybody else having trouble? Just refresh the page, Lisa. Let's go out and come back in. And if you miss it, then just come back and watch the replay. Okay, November 15th, 1967, 8:50 a.m. in Chicago. Okay, let me take a picture of this, and then we can share it. So I'm going to take a look at your natal chart and see, what I see there. I wonder if I should. Yeah, let's just look at your natal chart, because I'm sure we'll find a lot of information about, the realm of your relationship and how that affects you in life now. Okay, let me switch the screen. Okay. I feel like YouTube has been having some issues. Here we go. Thanks, Meg. Okay. So here is your natal chart. Let's see what we got. So you're having an issue with love life. You seem to attract men who are very narcissistic. It always seems to be someone that needs to heal, and that you absorb everything. Sounds like you're an empath. Um, Here's the thing about that's why I was asking about your childhood, because a lot of times when we when we grow up, having an example of a parent or a caretaker that was narcissistic, we tend to, because we're familiar with that energy, we tend to feel comfortable in that space later in life, not realizing that we can choose differently. That's what I've learned, at least in my life, about this. So let's look at this. You've got Sun in Scorpio, Moon in Taurus, Venus in Libra, and you're a Sagittarius rising. The interesting thing is you've got Pluto conjunct Uranus in your 9th house of spiritual integration, and they're in Virgo. I think that okay, so you also have Venus right here too. And Venus is obviously, it's like what we attract. It's also how we love in life. With Venus in the same house as Pluto and Uranus, that gives it this like very interesting dynamic to the realm of relationships for you. Pluto is the planet of death, change, transformation, rebirth. Uranus is like the unconventional, unique way to do things. It's innovative, but it can also break things down. It can create revolutions. You were born during a time where society was going through big shifts. Yeah, exactly. The 60s. Or the revolution, right? There was like the aspect of life. And those things are marked by the outer planets, the generational planets. So you were born during a time with like a lot of upheaval and a lot of like crazy shifts. And I think for a lot of the kids that were born during that time, I do feel like they might be in some way confused as to like exactly how, what, because they're not in that space, but their parents may have really like kind of whatever was going on around them really like brought that, like injected that into their kids, if you know what I mean. Yeah, right, Wendy. With Venus in Libra, it's funny because like in relationships, when it comes to relationships, you like things to be even. you would prefer everyone to put in the work. So like everybody puts in the work, and so everybody puts in the equal amount of work, and things are great. But when people don't put in the equal amount of work, then you feel like it's not fair. It's not balanced. So what you need to do is, I guess it was funny what I was about to say, but you have to find a relationship that has more of that balance in your life. It's possible that because talking about, all this energy, in your ninth house of spiritual integration, it's like these relationships that you have, they're affecting you in a very powerful way, and they seem to be unpredictable. That's also an aspect of Uranus, is unpredictability. Now, it's not super close to Venus, but it is pretty close. It's not an exact conjunction, but it is pretty close. Let's see, 28. It's like a very wide orb, but they're still there. It's almost like still conjunct there. And so there's unpredictability in your relationships. There's also these transformative aspects that show up. So what you need to do is like, what you have to look at, what is this here to teach me? And then when something else comes in, it's like you need to learn the red flags. When you're with someone who's a narcissist, the red flags come up. When those red flags come up, you got to say, you know what, this is not what I want. So also when I was younger, I had strong psychic intuition, and as I started having children, it slowed down. Interesting. But that's what I'm seeing, like in terms of relationships. Where's Gemini for you? So here's what we should look at, okay? Gemini is at the cusp. It's in your 6th and 7th houses, but it's at the cusp of your 7th house, which means that Venus right now is transiting your 7th house of relationships. So something is going to change in terms of your relationships. There's a shift here that's happening. You're awakening to the cycle. You're awakening to the same thing happening over and over. And with the awareness, the less likely you are to repeat it. And that's important to note. Where's your Capricorn? Okay, you got Capricorn right here at the cusp of your 1st and 2nd house. And you also have Mars in Capricorn, which means that you need things. You need to be able to take your time with things. Understanding yourself is really important when it comes to relationships. Because if you don't understand yourself, there's no way you can actually be in a relationship with someone. We can't just unconsciously go about our lives and expect other people to live up to our standards or whatever. That's just one way of putting it, right? So your way of doing things, you need to be able to take your time. You need to be able to take it step by step. You can't be rushed. People can't rush you. Someone who's with you needs to understand that aspect of yourself, right? But right now, you've got that Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto transiting your 1st and 2nd house. Mostly your first. Mostly your 1st house, actually. Now that I'm looking at it, they're transiting your 1st house. So you're shifting a lot of your identity. You're changing who you are. So here's what I want you to focus on something different than on why you keep attracting the same type of person into your life. I want you to change your focus into what you want to attract, because there's a lot of shift happening in your 1st and 2nd house. This is the house of identity, and this is the house of relationships. And that's what you need to be focusing right now. this dynamic between the first and the second house, who you are versus who you're with. So because the door is open to changing these aspects about yourself right now, you should focus on what you want to attract into your life. And I don't see, other than what I said about this Venus conjunct Uranus and Pluto, this can create a lot of power dynamics with the Pluto-Venus conjunction in your relationships, and a lot of that aspect of like revolution and unpredictability. So you have to find ways to work through that energy if it shows up in your relationships. And it would be really important once you meet someone or you find someone in your life that you do the chart reading, the compatibility chart reading, to like see if there's like not just chemistry, but like if there's something there that really aspects you negatively or positively. So that's what I would say for you, my dear. Thank you. All right, so Stephanie Matthews is next, and I believe she wanted a tarot reading. Yeah, that's rough. That's pretty rough. But it is in your 9th house, so think about what this is teaching you about your faith and your beliefs about yourself. Okay, Stephanie's question. I want a tarot reading. I need guidance on my next moves. I am struggling to figure out the best path for me to take for financial success and pretty much what is my life purpose. Okay, let's see. What does Stephanie need to know right now about her life? So far you got the Knight of Swords. It's like something's either fast approaching or you're moving really fast forward. You're looking for a mirror. What else does Stephanie need to know right now about her next steps, financial success, and her purpose? The Hermit. You're fast approaching a time of hermetism. I'm just kidding. Hang on. Everything fell on the floor. 7 of Swords. I see you going on. I see you like the universe is like just fast tracked you into a time of self-reflection, and seeing things that you haven't seen about yourself yet. So let me show you some of the cards that came up. Knight of Swords, fast-moving energy. The Knight of Swords comes flying in. So what this means, it's like, okay, we're moving really, really fast. What are we moving really, really fast towards? The Hermit, the inner journey, going within, taking a break, observing. This isn't really a time of action. It's more of a time of reflection. the reflection that you're doing it has to do with the Seven of Swords, which is so the Seven of Swords is also this energy of like, it could symbolize like someone has like this like a clean getaway, or like something is being stolen, something is being taken away. Either you're the one stealing it, or someone else stole it from you. Those are some of the meanings of the Seven of Swords. But it is a card about, it can be about betrayal and unreliability. And you might be feeling right now that your plans that you maybe had for yourself are not as well thought out as you thought they were. And so what this can also mean is that you might be setting yourself up for failure. So what can you do to shift that energy, to change that? Don't take away from yourself. How can you give yourself more than take away? Like what are some of the things that you're doing in your life right now that are like taking away from your happiness? Because in the end, yes, there's external things that happen in our lives that really affect us, and they change our lives, and they're important, and we need to work through those things. But the only way you're going to get to the other side is to go through the pain, the sadness, the grief, and go on that inner journey that the universe is asking you to go on. If you do that, if you allow yourself to just fully go within, you're going to notice that you actually receive the blessings from the hard work that you're putting into everything. The Seven of Pentacles is basically you reap the rewards of the work that you put in. And the Page of Wands can be, the pages and the kings and the queens and the knights. This is the Page of Wands. This card can actually represent an actual person. For you, for some reason, I feel like it does. This is someone who's loyal. This is somebody that you trust. This card brings a message of love, of growth, of courage. That's what the universe is asking of you right now, and that's what you really need to be focusing on. Let's pull one more card from the tarot. Maybe something having to do with finances. Although the Seven of Pentacles is like, it does have to do with finances. But in order to get there to a place where you're reaping the rewards, you have to go through that inner journey. Ace of Swords. Okay, cool. So what this says is there's a new idea, a new project, something's coming. When you have the Knight of Swords and the Ace of Swords in a reading, it's like a fast approaching idea that will give you the sort of the inspiration that you need to start to like get the ball rolling. But remember that the Ace of Swords was the last card that came. So the journey first has to be about you going through the inner self, the inner journey, moving through, not deceiving yourself, not hiding anything from yourself or hiding from other people, or noticing when someone's like getting away with something that like is just not right. And then when you go through that journey, you're going to start to see that like it's the work that you put into things that starts to manifest more in your life. And you will grow in courage and strength and love. And when you get to that point, like that's where you'll feel the clarity of mind and this idea that you're looking for, the inspiration that you're looking for through the mind, to the mind activation, will arrive in your life. I'm going to pull a couple of Moonology cards to see what they have to tell you. Yes. Yeah. Do you know who Nako is? Nako and Medicine for the People? One more, please. All right, so here's the message from the Moonology cards. Conclusions are within reach. Full moon eclipse. Okay, I'm going to tell you too. Valerie just got the full moon in Sagittarius and you got the full moon eclipse card. June 5th is a significant day for you because there is a full moon lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. You'll receive a message on this day. I was just gonna recommend him because he's just like amazing for going through hard times. You also get Hold Your Vision, the fixed moon. Hold Your Vision. And the cardinal moon. Be bold and make the first move. So those are the 3 messages for you from the oracle cards. Conclusions are within reach. Hold your vision. Be bold and make the first move. Awesome. Thank you. So we've got Shannon, Megan, and then Rebecca. Yeah, he's an amazing artist, musician. All right, let's pull it up. You're welcome. I'll make sure I got this right. Almost there. Why are you on a delay? Ooh, you never asked for it. So weird. YouTube's having such weird issues. Okay, so here's your transit chart. How can I best harness or use the current energies for my plans/purpose? Love the new moon energy, but how to best use it with the major planets in retrograde? Venus is retrograde. Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn are retrograde. The next retrograde that's happening, I believe, is Mercury. But that's not for a little bit. So here's the thing about the retrogrades. The retrogrades they always make us go within. You're welcome, Lisa. Retrogrades make you go within. So like the best way that you can use the retrograde energies is to like use them to reflect on your life. And what you're reflecting on because of where these are happening is for Venus is like whatever has changed in your life you're since 8 years ago, since 2012, that cycle is ending now. So it's a reflection on your life in terms of like love and relationships and how that's shifted and changed since 8 years ago. So as you reflect on that, and you go through this Venus retrograde and you go through the underworld, through that journey, it's like the revelations will come. The eighth house is ruled by Pluto and Scorpio, but it's, you have Gemini here in your eighth house of death, change, and rebirth and transformation. So there's a lot of like, when you emerge with Venus on June 25th, you're going to feel like speaking what you've discovered. You're going to feel like communicating what you discovered. But this process for you is going back and reviewing your life from 8 years ago till today, and like finding the powerful aspects of it. Yeah. Oh, okay. So that's with Venus, right? That's how Venus is affecting you in your personal chart. Now, the Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, they're all retrograde, and they're all retrograde in your third house of communication. So that's interesting dynamic because Gemini rules the third house. So there's a connection here between these other planets that are retrograde. And then what you're looking at when it comes to the Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter conjunctions that are going on, I mean, those kind of retrogrades, although these specific retrogrades they're more significant to what's going on around us collectively because they are a little bit more of like the farther out planets. They're not the very close personal planets like Venus and Mercury and Mars, but they're still personal. Like Jupiter is still a personal planet, and so is Saturn, but Saturn is like the limit of then Pluto goes like way out there. So it's more of like all of us together being affected by this. Okay, so that could probably really influence my writing project I've been thinking about. Yeah. Yes. I mean, yeah, for sure. But it is about communication. So like you're reflecting on like, since the Saturn Pluto conjunction, which happened in January, and that happened in your third house. All of this happened in your third house. So it's like you're finding new ways of communicating. And now that you say writing, obviously that brings up the fact that like writing right now would be a really good way for you to express yourself. All of the reflections that are going on for you, the writing is what's going to help you channel the information. So that's what I would focus on. Exactly. Like you're already on it, Shannon. Like you're already doing exactly what the universe is kind of asking you to do. Like talk about it, communicate it, write it down, share it, because the story is important. There's a story that you have to tell, and somehow the message has to reach people. But that Saturn Pluto happened in January, and then the Pluto Jupiter happened in April. It's going to happen again at the end of June, and then again in November. So the changes and the shifts that have been going on since 2019 for Jupiter, August of 2019 for Jupiter. For Saturn, it's more of like, how can you restrict yourself less in terms of speaking and sharing and communicating for you? Yes, I love that. Yes, I love it too. The confirming is important. So how can you like restrict yourself less in terms of communication? Because Saturn does create those restrictions, but right now when it's retrograde, it kind of like eases up on the restriction and gives us a little bit of more freedom. And because it's in Aquarius right now, it is going to go back into Capricorn, but because it's in Aquarius right now, this is your higher mind communicating with like a very sort of higher perspective, higher mind, bigger picture. seeing the bigger picture. So I think Saturn is helping you see the bigger picture and also look towards the future. Venus is helping you remember and reflect on your story. And then Jupiter and Pluto are helping you, like Jupiter is helping you to create something that you can actually share with the world, that you can build something with. And Pluto for all of us is like it's letting go of old ways. For you, it's old ways of communicating and activating new ways of communicating yourself, your message with the world. Yeah. So that hopefully answers your question. Thank you. So we've got Megan and then Rebecca. Thank you guys for being here. We just got 2 more, and everybody that did get on the list today, you're welcome. Will get put for the drawing, the giveaway that I do. Hey Melanie, how's it going? I'd love a natal chart reading because I've never had one before. Okay, let's pull up your chart. January 6, 1987. Six a.m. Okay, so here's your chart on the screen. Let's see what we got. You are a sun in Capricorn, moon in Aries, Sagittarius rising, and Venus in Scorpio. You also have North Node conjunct your moon in Aries and South Node in Libra. And your North Node is in your 4th house and your South Node is in your 10th house. Chiron in Gemini. And you have this really intense Capricorn stellium in your 1st house of self-identity. And that's your Sun, Juno, Mercury, Neptune, and Uranus, except Uranus is in Sagittarius. You also have, here's also something significant, you have Saturn conjunct your rising sign, which means that, we can start right there. You are, you're a very serious person. Like, he is in your 12th house, so he does bring in an aspect of like intuition or understanding the world of the mystical and the beyond, but he brings it to you in a sense of like, so how you see the world is through the eyes of Saturn. That's why it's important that he's conjunct to your rising sign. You see the eyes you see the world through the eyes of a very sort of serious person, this almost like patriarchal kind of energy. You see the world by the rules and the regulations. And so that makes you kind of a serious, you're probably serious in your childhood. People probably thought you were like grown up as a child, or like more grown up than the other kids. Like you acted more like an adult than the other kids. That's the first thing I notice. Let me sit down here. Let's see what else. Having all of this Capricorn energy in your first house adds to that effect that Saturn is having on your chart. Because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, or Saturn rules the sign of Capricorn. And that structure, you like structure in your life, and you like taking your time, and you like reaching a goal. You're very like ambitious with who you are. Maybe you hold yourself to really high standards with all that energy. Also, your life purpose in this life, when we look at the North Node, is to become independent and to move away from relationships that don't serve you, or from identifying yourself with relationships. Your purpose in this life is also to understand what you love and to understand your heart center. The moon is in your fourth house, and the fourth house is actually ruled by Cancer, and the moon is at home in Cancer. It rules the sign of Cancer. So there's something about connecting to your emotions. There's something about connecting to your heart space, but by it's an odd energy, because Aries is very independent and Cancer is very codependent. Not in a negative way, but they need people. They love nurturing. So it's like you need the independence in your life, and you're moving towards becoming independent and finding your sense of self through everything, but also doing it in a way that somehow you also feel like you're being nurtured, and that you also feel like you can nurture others. So it's a new way of being in relationship. And the South Node in Libra is the moving away from those relationships that identify you, that sort of lock you in, that give you no room to breathe. And also moving away from career and focusing more on home. That's what I see in terms of the North and the South Node. Let's see what else I see. You have a pretty crazy T-square. This is 16 degrees over here, your nodes. Then you've got a T-square to your Sun and Juno, the asteroid of marriage. So your Sun is like, this is your soul. This is who you're becoming. This is what you're moving towards. This is like your deep inner self. It's it's like in conflict with your life purpose. It wants to be on it wants to do its own thing. It feels like some kind of friction between like truly following the life path. It almost wants to like stand out a little bit beyond what your destiny is. So because you feel these like there's two roads and you're being kind of pulled in two different directions, it just creates a little bit of challenge. Like you have to really truly find what it is that how your soul, how your life you can contribute, or how your identity, because your Sun is in the first house, how your identity can contribute to your life path instead of taking away from it, how it can contribute to it. But if you feel tension when I tell you about what your life purpose is, that it has to be about being home, I can see that tension in your chart, because you have the Sun in Capricorn, and Capricorn is not about the fourth house. Capricorn is about the 10th house, where your South Node is, which is what you're supposed to be moving away from. So there's a conflict here, conflict of interest, I guess you could say, of what you want and what you're like supposed to do. So you have to find, so how you heal this? Well, you look to Chiron, because Chiron is the wounded healer. He's in Gemini. So you have to find ways to communicate your truth, especially when it comes into your relationships. Communicate and be that teacher. Be the example for others. You heal yourself by expressing your truth and being here in the moment, because Gemini is also about being present, but mostly about expressing itself. So as you learn to express yourself or express more of yourself, you will heal that intense T-square that's happening between your sun and the nodes. I've been focusing a lot more on how to make my career more home. Yes. Okay. Well, there you go. That's perfect. Perfect example of how can you manage this, right? How can you like take the opposition out of it and make it work for you? Well, you're already doing it. You're intuitively tapping into what it is that you need to do. And I love that, because that's a great idea, because I wouldn't have thought of that, but like that's it right there. That's the main things that I see in your chart. So we're gonna leave it at that, and hopefully that at least that helps you understand a little bit more about yourself in life. And we've got Rebecca is last. Hey Jason, how's it going? Yeah, I don't really go live on Periscope anymore. I'm over here. Thanks for coming in and saying hi. Welcome. You're welcome, Meg. Welcome in, Becca Boo. Okay, let's look it up. So, messages, any messages for Rebecca regarding her connection with Adam? What's going on with connection with Adam? It's pretty cool cards you just got. Queen of Pentacles is the first one. I see you as this Queen of Pentacles. I see you as this like someone that's very secure, at least in terms of like the external world. When people look at you, they probably feel like you've got your things together. But what I sense in you is that there's a security in you. This is the Queen of Pentacles is like the Empress. The Empress is the one that, knows who she is. She's grounded, she's centered, she's secure. That's the kind of security that I feel in you. Now, this is interesting. The next card you get is the Ten of Swords. And I feel like this represents Adam. For some reason, he's going through an ending. This relationship is going through an ending. It's more than just him. It's like what's going on. It's going through some kind of an ending, and there's a new beginning on the horizon. The Ten of Swords is about, there's been suffering in the past. There's been things that don't work out in the past. There's been a lot of backstabbing, but now that's changing and shifting because that cycle is over and it's going through a transformation. Your relationship is going through a transformation, a death, a rebirth, something of the sort that will, I think, release you both of things from the past that are maybe that these things are getting in the way of your relationship right now. But the freedom that I feel from this card is what I want to point out, is that the cycle that's ending leads to freedom. Now, the Six of Cups is the next card you get. This is, you know, if you focus on the past, maybe in the past things seems like they were better. This could be for you or for him. One of you is going through this or feeling this. You're looking back and you're thinking, man, things were better back then. But there's so much that's in the future that there has to be a point where you stop looking at the past and you start looking forward. Because literally the card you get right after that is the Star, which is the future. It's Aquarius. It's hope, right? There's hope here for the relationship. That's what I feel. That's what I'm getting as the message. And we're moving into the Aquarian age, right? And we're learning. It's like this is the prophecy. When you get the Star card, it's like hopes and dreams are coming true. You're reaching them. You're moving towards them. The relationship itself is moving this way. If it can go through this release of, you know what I mean, the ending of a chapter and the beginning of a new chapter and the letting go of the past and fully awakening to like, okay, what's a whole new way of being? How can we be together in a completely new way? Okay, there you go. I love that. So you get, take time to breathe out, the disseminating moon. Take time to breathe out. And communication is the key. The new moon in Gemini. I love that. Communication is the key. It is. It really is. The communication is right now for everyone. It's what's going to help free us from any restraints that we feel in our lives. And it's hard to do that when you're dealing with people that like don't really know how to communicate, but at least you be in your truth and don't get swayed, right? Because Gemini is like you don't get swayed by the emotions. You stay in your center by focusing on like the mind. Yeah. The Gemini energy is really present right now too. We're in Gemini season and, you know, the Venus in Gemini and all that stuff. So thank you, Rebecca. And thank you everybody for being here and hanging out with me. I'm really thankful for all of you guys. Also, I should be doing readings next Friday. I'm going to plan on it. So if you want to get on the list for next Friday, it's $25 to my PayPal. That moon was exactly opposite my sun. The energy was definitely off, but getting better now. Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. Interesting. It was like a new moon and a full moon happening in your chart. That's crazy. So yeah. So hopefully next week I'm not going to be here in the studio. Oh my God. That's so crazy to say that. I'm not going to be in the studio. I'm going to be traveling. More like road tripping, but I'm going to go see my sister in Colorado and some friends and stuff. So I'll be at my sister's house. So hopefully she has good Wi-Fi and it'll all work out. Look out for the June 2020 prediction coming out next week. And if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, make sure that you do so you get the free moon astrology guide as well as the moon magic report that comes out every Wednesday. And if you haven't signed up for the Aquarian Astrology Level 1 course. We've got Module 2 all ready to go, and then Module 1 ready to go, and then Module 2 open for registration. And these modules are only $33, and it's like the classes are jam-packed with a lot of information about how to learn astrology. The first Module 1 is learning the basics, and Module 2 we're going to start diving deeper. The first planet we're going to talk about is actually the sun. So... yeah, right. Day tripping. That's funny. But yeah, that's what's going on. And I'll see you guys soon on the channel. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your weekend. And Sat Nam. Peace out. Cub Scout.